welcome back to the Final Credit Show. I have a special guest. I always do that the wrong way. Sascha from Fullset. If you guys have been paying any attention to their socials, Sasha's been on vacation, hasn't really been doing that much. He's just been taking it easy and like lazing about. No, it's insane. I'm going to let him tell you a little bit about some of the stuff that he's been working on. But today, the purpose of this show is to kind of talk about the future of quite a bit of different things, but mostly obviously about Fullset itself. I'm really curious about you guys have been working on. But before we get into the future, what have you been doing? I see every 10 minutes that Project Neon is available on some new platform. So what's going on?
Yeah, that's how it feels like for sure. Yeah, like I think I mentioned a little bit of that already, like the last time we were speaking, right? So I think I was still in the process of preparing everything to be released on all the modern platforms. So everything from PlayStation, Switch, Xbox, Apple TV, iOS, Android, like you name it. Steam, obviously, also with Windows, Mac, and Linux. And now, a few days later, it's all done. So today was basically the last release, which was the Switch version of Project Neon.
Congratulations.
Yeah, really happy how everything went. So I was already like pretty happy with how well the ports actually felt. But going the first time through the whole release process with all these big platforms, was quite involved, but super interesting. And yeah, fortunately, everything like went buttery smooth, just as the game plays on all these devices now. And the feedback has been great. So on Xbox and PlayStation, I think we have like a 4.4, 4.5 out of 5. Like Steam looks good. iOS is being well received. All the Redroid guys are enjoying it on their, not just the Android phone, but their Redroid devices. And feedback has been good. So yeah, fortunately everything went well. And yeah, like got all the learnings, wrote them all down. I'm pretty sure there will be new ones with like future updates and all of that. But yeah, it's been some busy weeks, or yeah, so to say.
I can only imagine. I'm not going to put you on the spot about asking specifics about the release candidates, but what surprised you? I'm kind of curious. Like with that, I don't want you to make enemies of anyone or anything. But like what of like that whole process? I mean, my God, man, you did, what was it, 12 platforms? I think it was.
Yeah. If you look at it, like if you look just at Xbox, so Xbox actually is out on Xbox Play Anywhere, and that means it needs to run on Xbox One, and all those versions, right? Then Xbox Series, so Series S and X, and also Windows. And to actually get the Play Anywhere badge, you also need to have Cloud Sync. So in our case, we're syncing the high score table.
Right.
So if you drop off at on your Windows PC and then like keep continuing playing on the Xbox, then you at least have your high score, and obviously your trophies and achievements, like they also travel with you. And yeah, it's like if you look at it like separately, then it's 14 plus platforms actually. It's also
Wow.
PlayStation 4 and 5. Again, the Steam release covers all the bases from Windows, Mac OS, and Linux. That also includes the Steam Deck, which runs on Linux, but the Steam Deck also has some special hardware, and I try to really maximize how these games use the individual hardware that it's running on. So you might have played the mobile version of Project Neon on Android or iOS, but you also get the same feature on the Steam Deck or the Switch, for instance. So you can use the analog stick, you can use the D-pad, you can use the touchpad, and you can use the touchscreen. And on all these platforms, you can also decide if you wanted to play Yoko or Tate, and pretty much everything that's like all these features are available across all the different platforms. And then there are like also platform specific things that we take advantage of. Let's put it like this. So yeah.
Okay, very
And
cool.
what surprised me?
Yeah.
Let me think about the surprising part. Um, I don't know, to not name any names, but I thought that the order of releases would be different. I would have
Okay.
thought that some platforms would be easier or faster, and like also in terms of their documentation and their processes. But yeah, I was a bit wrong there in terms of like order and how easy it's going to be. I think that's the only real surprise. Need to think about if there
No, it's
like was
okay.
anything funny. No, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, interesting. For me, I had a surprise, which was, and I don't mean this in a mean way or anything like that, but
Sure.
the mobile version, I had so much fun with that I did not expect. Like, it's just I'm one
Yeah,
of those old jaded gamers that is like, oh, mobile's not real games, and all of this.
about the same.
And
Yeah,
yeah,
I don't
man,
play on mobile
I
usually.
I had way more fun on
Drinking some iced tea
mobile.
and not beer.
Oh, well, where's the fun in that?
In the
uh,
iced tea.
so yeah, I had way more fun with the mobile version than I had like any right to, which that I did not
Yeah,
expect. I
I
did
know what you
not
mean.
expect that at all. Like, I found myself on the subway
Yep,
here going to work, and I'm just like, really good. So
same.
good job is what I'm saying. Like, I think you guys like nailed it, because normally, if something's working well on mobile, it's because it's like a gacha game, or like it's a mobile game. But this is not a
Yeah.
mobile game, and like it just really surprised me. I didn't expect that at all.
Yeah, yeah. The first time I actually had it running, and especially with the direct ship control. So we're not, just for context for people, we are not like mimicking like a virtual joypad or like D-pad that you need to press. So you can actually move the ship with your finger. And yeah, it feels super responsive and super smooth. And at the beginning, people think, oh, this is cheating, this is unfair. Now I'm going to once you see this game
Ha ha ha.
immediately. But you can run as fast into bullets with your finger than you can with your joystick. So yeah, so yeah, I have to say I clocked so many hours just on the mobile version. Like it's, I would say, not sure if it's like my second favorite now after like the arcade version, but yeah, I think so actually. And then Switch and Steam Deck, I believe. But yeah, it's kind of fun. I was surprised, right? Like there's always this time when developers also just like experience those things like themselves first, right? Before they finish it off and hand it off to others. And I when I put that in, and I felt like, oh my goodness, this can really feel really good after some polishing. Yeah, so that I think that's in general something that surprised me with like in the whole context of ports, basically. And I hear that from pretty much everyone. Also, you get like a basic count on how often like an app is open, not like with the ones that people bought on the App Store, but when you have like internal testers, you
Yes.
see just like how often like these testers are basically opening the app. And man, like there were people that barely play on their phone or shmups at all, and they're clocked in over like 100 sessions, and I was like, what the heck is happening? So yeah, not trying to overhype it, right?
No,
Like, but
no, but
I think you
it's
brought it
true.
up. So like, if you haven't tried it, especially in Android, I think Android is actually the um, not especially from the experience, but like Android is actually I think the cheapest way of playing Project Neon right now. Because the iOS version also includes the macOS, or the App Store version also includes the macOS version and the Apple TV or the tvOS version. That's why like the Android version is like a little bit cheaper yet again. It still costs like I think $10 or something. But if you want to start somewhere and you don't know yet, maybe start there. And something worth noting here is also that you can still play it with like an arcade stick or like a Bluetooth gamepad or
Oh,
whatever.
cool.
But a lot of people that actually did that, that were so much looking forward to put it into like their how they call. There's also like a new one from 8-bit Duo, I believe, which like a Pocket 8-bit Duo Pocket or something, which is basically a little controller where you
Okay.
put your phone in, and it feels like a Game Boy. And then people were like, I did that, and then I figured I can use it with and I was just like putting it away and just playing
Yeah.
it like that, right?
Mm.
So yeah, it's different, but it's fun, I think. Yeah.
Well, it was really surprising to me personally, to me, because like I'm not much. So I'm one of those guys with your stats, because like I'm not one of
Yeah.
those like phone
Yeah.
player guys. But it was just fun. It was really fun.
Yeah.
So I mean, now what? Now that do you go on vacation for the next 6 months and say, "Woof, I'm done," or what happens now?
That's unfortunately, I think my partner would say not really my thing. So I'm not sure. I think I would like. I mean, it's not that I couldn't like sit at the beach maybe for a day, but yeah. Anyway, so yeah, what's next? So usually when I like do new things, especially like now with the modern ports, right? I'm always looking at, okay, what does the process look like of building the game, releasing the game. By the way, if you hear the alarm in the background again, that's just like just ignore it. It's
It's
just
fine.
beeping. I'm not sure if you can hear. So I'm always looking at, okay, what did the process actually look like? What did it involve to build all these ports, but also distribute them.
Mm.
And I did that in the past already, like with our Neo Geo release, right? So I basically looked at everything. I was like, okay, what was like the things that were challenging, right? Like the PCB design, for instance, sourcing plastics, and so on and so on. And usually the first time I do it, I just document it, and I also don't like over optimize, right? So I don't really over optimize for like costs.
Mm.
Also release timing, I just did like basically on a rolling basis, right? Like
Mm.
literally, you saw these releases not coming out like on one day, but like basically day by day. And maybe that can be optimized. Maybe that can just be like one day. But so basically, I look at that and then I'm like, okay, what makes this challenging, and how can we prevent that from being challenging again? For me, but also for everybody else. And I think we talked already about one example the last time, which was the sound driver, right? Which
Mm.
we tried like 3 times to build like a sound driver for the Neo Geo, which can actually drive FM sound. And we were not giving up. And then at the third try, working with Maria, like we got it exactly how we wanted it. We helped the Devil Mask guys to get Neo Geo support into Devil Mask, and with the export. Again, Maria did like all of that. I just helped mostly with testing. But anyway, so eventually we made it open source, and Maria made it open source so that nobody else would
That's
need
awesome.
to spend like 2 or 3 years again on their blog posts telling people, hey, by the way, the game that you backed,
Mm.
right? We were still working on the sound driver, right?
Mm.
But for good reasons. While again, it might be novel, right? It's also annoying, and like, why should people like figure this out over and over again? So I think the first thing that I wanted to talk about or announce today is the whole notion of building like a Neo Geo game, but also building a game for all these different platforms. Because I think I mentioned it already the last time as well. Like all these ports, they are all native ports, so they are not
Mm.
emulating a Neo Geo, for instance, and they all have contextual UI. So like the the fixed layer suddenly says like, oh, press A or touch the screen
Mm.
instead
Mm.
of
Mm.
press start or
Yeah,
press
yeah.
P1 or P2 start. And basically the way I build it now is that every game, like we're also working on Oversurf, which you know, right? So that for every game, we basically only need to build the game once, and we're like and always will be a Neo Geo first studio. So we're building like a Neo Geo game, but now we have this means that allow us to get native versions out of these games as well, like native ports
Mhm.
for like, well, all the modern systems. But as you know, we're also going to release on N64, on
Mm.
Dreamcast, and Saturn. But again, like it's the same game, right? The basis is always, or the base is always like a Neo Geo
Mhm.
game, which is also exactly like from aesthetics and from like, like from the appeal, that's like really what
Mm.
I enjoy, like in terms of games, but also in terms of making games. And there's still always things that we could do also on these more modern platforms, and sometimes we do, right? I talked about how we added touchscreen support, not just for controlling the ship, but also for entering your high score. So you see the Neo Geo like high score board of the Neo Geo version on like the same that you see on the Neo Geo, which you usually control with like your joystick, right? But even there, we added like the convenience of you being able to not just use gestures, but actually tap individual characters from the high score entry. It's like a small detail, right? What I'm basically saying is that like from an aesthetic standpoint, Neo Geo is basically the the standard
Yeah.
for like the general appearance, but then sometimes where it makes sense, right? You don't have Rumble on a Neo Geo, but you
Yeah.
have Rumble on like the N64 and your Steam Deck, your different like your DualSense controllers. So then we take advantage of that. But usually we try to not overdo it, right? We're not suddenly rotating pixels, right? Which is like the worst thing that I've ever seen in pixel games when you suddenly see a pixel and it
Yeah.
turns.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you've seen it ever. Anyway,
Yep.
so I think what I'm trying to say is like we built this, right? So we have like we build all the learnings, we build like basically the framework to do this. And we want to make that available to others so that others also have an easier time building Neo Geo games, but then also getting their games on all these different platforms. Which also makes it more sustainable, actually, because as much as everybody wish that, like, or maybe not wish that you do a Neo Geo game and suddenly you're rich, we talked about it. It's often like
Yep.
the opposite. And we also talked. It's not just me, right? So there's an interview also from Terra Onion, from Alex, like a Spanish interview.
Yep.
And you talk to some other guys, right?
Yep.
And they're all like it's actually quite prohibitive or like quite expensive to do this. And you might get lucky. Maybe you just make a living out of making Neo Geo games. But we also talked about NGDev team, right? Which
Yep.
now switched to mostly focusing on Switch games, for instance, or
Yep.
their Switch ports. And I think the reason is just to make it more sustainable. So that's why, yeah, we want to help people basically to not just build their games for Neo Geo, but then also have all these other channels where they can distribute their game. And that includes physical as well, right? So not only do we want to help people to build their games, but also to actually get them out there. And there's like, no matter where you look, right? No matter which system you want to release on, there are always like hurdles, right? Maybe mobile is like the least hurdle when you already feel confident that you can do a good native port on mobile and with the touch control and everything. But if you want to release on Nintendo or like on the Switch or on Xbox or PlayStation, it's again quite involved to like you need to apply with your game. You need to learn how these platforms work to talk like very holistically here, right? Because we can't go into details. And also like you sometimes need to take money in your hand to get some special hardware. So and the same is obviously true for retro system, right? The Neo Geo, it's just not easy to put games out for. And yes, you can piggyback on some people from AliExpress, and maybe you get lucky, but it's also possible that your game is going to be on AliExpress before it's on your own store, right? So, and I didn't want to go through that, and I don't want other people to go through that. So for physical, we're also going to allow people for basically piggybacking on our cartridges as well.
Nice.
And by the way, one thing that I should have mentioned, like before we even like jumped into all of this, like everything like which I'm mentioning, we are going to try. There are also some things that I'm going to mention like in a moment where you're like, oh, I'm just jumping in now because of that. In terms of our cartridges and all that. So I think one word of advice, which you also always give, is don't buy anything on like future promises. So I'm putting that here as well. But yeah, so the first thing is like building games. And also for everything that we talk about like today, if this or any of that sounds interesting to you, I'm always available on Discord. You can also just email me at contact@fullset.io. But yeah, so building is one thing, distributing is the other one. But yeah, how are we actually going to do that, right? And like, will we offer basically that to everyone, right? That's one of the first questions that will likely come to mind. So like the answer is basically we can't in a lot of cases, right? So we need to do some kind of screening in terms of like who we work with, and especially if they distribute via us, right, digitally or via like physical cartridges, right? Like we need to basically have certain standards and need to make
course,
sure
yep.
that we know who we work with, etc., right? And so, but like generally everybody can just like reach out and can basically pitch their projects. Can be also be like an existing project that they already had, like maybe something that they did for PC before, and that they want to get on more retro systems and mobile and like modern consoles if they're not already there. So that's certainly also like an option. And yeah, so maybe to make this not too abstract all the time, I will give you an example of like one game that I already know from a couple that I know that will take advantage of this. So I'm not sure if everybody's aware, but like we worked like quite some people already back on Project Neon. And one of these people is Neobits, and he already has like a game, right, which is called Knight's Chance. You obviously know it, and I guess like a lot of people out there know it as well. And he's actually going to do like all the things that we're going to offer, and like it's a bit of a not dry run, but like he's going to use pretty much everything that we built now as a platform. So he's going to do multiple things. So first of all, he's going to move the game to use our SDK. And fortunately, that's going to be quite straightforward because the SDK that we used initially was his plus like an extra library called Datlib from HPman back then. So it's going to be still involved, and there's quite some work involved, but he's going to move it over. And that also means that there will be 14 different platforms where Knight's Chance will run on. And then we're going to work together in actually distributing this together as well. So pretty much every platform that you've now seen Project Neon coming out to, the same we will do with Knight's Chance. And I have his thumbs up so that I can actually talk about this here. So that's one thing. And then there's also like, obviously, right, it's a Neo Geo game. So the question that could quite easily come up is like, okay, does that also mean there's going to be a new run or like for the Neo Geo? And the answer is like a little bit more nuanced, but like in a good way. So one thing that we're also looking into is that for games that, for instance, are already out on for Neo Geo and available for like as a ROM download, like there's nothing really that stands in the way, I would say, for most people that are in this situation to say like, oh, like if I can just have like a distribution channel, like another one for my ROM, that would be great. And that's why one thing that we're also going to do with Night Chance is we're going to allow people to put it on the existing cartridges that they have, if they choose to do so. So everything that I'm also mentioning today is completely with optionality. You can do this, you don't need to do this. So you could, for instance, use your Project Neon cartridge, and you could you could basically buy like a version from for Night Chance, and then you will be able to download it over the air because our cartridges have Wi-Fi, or via USB-C, and reflash the cartridge basically, and then have it like play Night's Chance. We're also looking into, and that's basically the teaser that I sent you, like having a bit of a little dashboard, so where you can easily switch your games. The FSNG1, which is like the cartridge that's out there right now, which also Oversurfed is going to use, and Project Neon already used in the past. It was always built with the intent to allow something like that at some point, if people want that. We always wanted to try that, but it's not necessarily designed for having multiple games at the same time on the cartridge. That's why, like the experience might differ depending on like what you're switching to. So we might be able to co-locate some games. So the cartridge actually is quite big. People don't know that, or a lot of people don't know that. So the game on the snap case says 52 meg, right? Which some people make fun about, but there's actually an interesting thread from HP Man on X where he's going through all the homebrew releases and basically looks at sound, right? Which we already know. We're not using synthesized, or we're not using like bounced audio tracks. We actually have like a tracker-based soundtrack, which is one reason. And the other one is also that we heavily deduplicate and optimize our tiles. So like often people like say like 52 megs, like, are you for real? And then they try the game and then they see like the intro and they see the end sequence. And then they realize, oh, it's actually there twice because you can also play it in Yoko mode. And because you can't rotate anything on the Neo Geo, it's actually twice on the cartridge. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is that these cartridges are way beefier actually. So I think they have like 1,500 something max. So it fits even like most of the bigger releases. So that's not going to be the issue. But again, it never has been designed to co-locate multiple games. That means that often the experience will be that when you want to switch the game, like, and you didn't play that game that you want to play before, then it will just reflash for a moment and then it jumps into the game, which I think is fine for most people, right? You don't necessarily want to switch your games that often. Often people also have like a marquee fitting the game that they have on the cartridge, right? Or they just have it in a multi-slot anyway, etc. So I think people are not actually switching their games that often. And also for future cartridges, like or PCBs, like the one for the Saturn that we did, that one is already designed with allowing to co-locate multiple games. So it might not switch instantly, but it might not need to download. Let's put it like that. That's as much detail as I can give there. And the same is true for the N64 cartridge, which is on its way right now from Australia to Germany. So I can put it through its paces. Also has enough space for co-locating multiple games. So not only do you get to build for 14 different platforms, but you even get like 4 physical releases. We will also produce also for Night Chance Dreamcast versions of the game as well, right? So on CD. Yeah, I should pause there for a second and yeah.
Well,
Do
okay.
you have any questions?
No, we're good. Goodbye.
There's more. But...
Okay, wow. All right. I don't even know where to begin here. Okay, so for folks, if this is enticing, because like, especially with my channel, like I've got a lot of indie folks, people who are developing games and stuff like that. Right now, as of when are we recording this? August 13th, the best way is contact@fullset.io, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Or Sascha at fullset.io, but often people don't know how to spell my name, so contact is slightly easier.
Okay, well, whatever. I'm assuming like down the road, because I'm sure you're going to get inundated with requests and stuff. So I'm assuming down the road, you're going to have like on your website or something, like some kind of process.
There's going to be a partner portal, basically partner.fullset.io. Yeah.
Okay, sweet. Okay, so I wanted to make sure we got that settled because I know I'm going to get like people are gonna be, how do I reach out to this guy? Even though you said it, what I'll do is I'll put it in. I'll make sure I put that in the description so that folks know like exactly how to reach out to you.
You can also find me on Discord under Coin Feeder, so you can put that in the description as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm assuming people can pick and choose if for any reason they want, like, these 5 platforms, not those 3 and whatever. Like,
generally, yes.
I don't know why you would want to do that.
It really depends. Yeah, exactly. Like that really depends. It might be actually a game where, like, maybe on mobile, like it's really translating bad to touch input or something, because you can't. It's not a shoot 'em up. You can't make it direct. But we will have like also a very good solution for virtual pets as well. Again, we just did it the other way, the more fun way for Project Neon right now. But we will provide means as well so that you can have like basically easily have like a little virtual joypad shown up, and then that's just what you start with, and then we can still see if there's more optimization that needs to be done, and hopefully generalized so that other games then can also piggyback on that again. But yeah,
sweet. No, sure. Sweet. For physical, I mean, it's me, so like I'm surrounded by physical stuff. I'm curious because we're gonna get comments. I guarantee you we're gonna get comments. I don't know if Jeff's allowing us to talk about this. You said sort of like with the physical release. Is it good?
I said with like there's nuances. So the nuances basically is what I mentioned, that people will be able to also get Knight's Chance using their existing cartridge. Okay. So basically, there you get it physically, right?
Like so he's not gonna do another dedicated physical.
No, we're going to do that as well, because we will allow people to even get the initial. So 2 things. And again, I'm totally behind this, right? So there might always be some reasons why plans change, the plans basically change. But the idea is that you will also be able to buy, like, basically the initial cartridge that you get is going to be a Knight's Chance cartridge, right? Because like we will offer that as well. Because what we're going to offer as well is, if you buy a game physically for like an FSNG1. By the way, I think I put it into the camera, and there's more stuff that I want to put into the camera because people might not have seen it. But yeah, there was already back then like this FSNG1 generic label in case of when you want to like switch your games maybe more often. But if you're going to buy the download version of Knight's Chance, you will also be entitled to buy like an artwork set for it as well, in case of you wanting to change your game. Obviously, like that would destroy, right, your existing label and everything. And I assume that some people will just not, like, we've seen that already, right? We gave people the option of choosing their label, and now they're like, because they have choice, they're like, no, I'm not going to touch this. Like, I'm just not going to put a label on it. Also that way they get easier access to the USB-C port, right? If they need to do it, because right now our molds, our cases don't have a USB-C port, which might change in the future. So we're looking into that as well. But you will be able to, because like if you can buy the game physically, like, or the FSNG1 with Knight's Chance on initially, then we need artwork sets for that as well, right? So, and if you buy it and you want to change it, then like, why wouldn't we offer that, right? And people might never put it on. People might still like keep this separate in a folder and say like, hey, like I want it in pieces, right? Like, I still can play the game, and I might not want to put that. There's also, now I would like jump too far ahead, but there's a solution to that as well, where you don't destroy your label, but I'm not ready yet to mention what that is. So, yeah.
Interesting. Very interesting.
It's an interesting approach for sure, but I think it's going to be a pretty cool new approach that we haven't seen before. So yeah,
Okay,
we'll see.
because I for sure you were gonna get people leaving comments saying like, yeah, but like I've got, I'm gonna have I'm looking at a bookshelf where it's like, I got all my AES games or I got all my N64 games or whatever. I want to
Oh,
have Project Neon, Overserved, Knight's
and you
Chance,
can.
and like, yeah, so perfect, good. You hear
Yeah,
that, people?
yeah.
Giddy up, because the last time I spoke to
Like
Jeff,
everything. Yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
No, the thing is that like we want to give people all the option, right? Like they can again decide if they want to even have they can decide even if they want to have like the menu where they can switch games, or they just say no, like if I
Mm,
flash like another game to get back to the other game, I don't want a dashboard. I will just connect it
yeah.
either if the game has like the Wi-Fi menu, the Wi-Fi update
Mm,
menu that is in Project Neon, which we will certainly add to the games that use our framework, like Night's Chance will. There will also be an option to basically connect to your Wi-Fi from the title AES menu, right? Or I mean, it's the for the MVS, then it's the dip switch that you need
yeah,
to
yeah, yeah,
flip
yeah, yeah.
to basically get into that menu. But you can then change it back that way. Or you can again just connect it via USB-C. So you can basically decide if basically what the card starts up with is the dashboard, or if it's actually like the game basically at address 0, right?
Yeah.
So we will give people this optionality of saying like, no, like I'm just still going like, nice. There's like another release. I just buy another cartridge. There are people that say, oh, maybe that game wasn't my jam or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that I'm saying that that will be the case, but like whatever, right? Or
No,
they
you're
have like
giving.
we've seen people also having multiple Project Neon copies, right? They
Yeah,
might just say like, hey, fine, I will just like maybe convert one of that.
yeah.
Like but like people can they get choice, right?
That's
Like they
it.
get the choice about
Yeah,
everything. They also get to preserve, like when you buy Night's Chance, for instance,
yep.
you will be for your cartridge, so it's going to be bound to your cartridge. Similar to I think how the Neo SD guys or like the Terra Onion
Mm,
guys initially planned back then. I think they had plans where they were like, oh, we will offer other developers
mm,
to put out their games on our
mm,
cartridge, so like people can buy that and then put it on their NewSD. So that's going to be the case, right? So our update files or like the version that you buy is going to be linked to your cartridge, and only your cartridge can basically decrypt it and
mm,
run it and
mm.
everything. And well, I think what I'm trying to say is you can also decide, oh, I want to update via Wi-Fi, or I want to download it for safekeeping. I want to save all the different versions and
Mm,
games that I have access to now, which I bought for this cartridge, and I want to safekeep them. Ideally, we even in a situation where we eventually can say like, hey, we even make all these packages, just we put them on archive.org, right, on the web archive.
mm,
And so for safekeeping for everyone, if like at some point in the future, 20, 30 years from here, our infrastructure or update server should not be there anymore, that people
mm.
either already downloaded them and safekeep them themselves, but they can also download them from maybe a public archive. And again, you will not be able to decrypt, well, who knows what's in like
Yeah,
20
yeah,
years,
yeah,
30 years, especially with quantum computing and
yeah.
everything. Maybe that doesn't hold true anymore. But yeah. Also, in terms of like talking about that, right? In terms of guarantees, I talked about like you risking when you work with others, depending on how close you are with them, that hey, your game might actually leak, right? Or
Yeah,
there might
yeah.
be a knockoff on AliExpress. So if you actually build on our cartridge or also take advantage of some of the stuff that the cartridge does, there will also be this dependency to the cartridge, right? So people like can't just like rip off the game off the cartridge, which obviously there's always a way to achieve certain things. But like the whole extra hardware is missing, so the game wouldn't run, right? And
Mm, mm,
depending on how deep you go there, we can give you like a multitude of things that you can use for acceleration, but maybe also just for make it tied more to that cartridge, right? And again, this is not like a guarantee because nobody knows what's in 20 or 30 years, right?
mm.
And it's also going to be interesting how to put that into contracts, right? Because if we sell other people's games, then we need to think about that also as well in terms of guarantees that we can give.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, basically that's the whole idea. Ideally, like we would just be able to put all the games that every version, every game that somebody ever bought for any cartridge, put all these update files on a public archive so that people can just pull it even if our servers shouldn't run anymore. Same as I think I mentioned last time, are we looking for Overserved into making the game server available? So either because you don't want to update to a later version, but still want to play that particular version, right? Like Counter-Strike 1.2 comes to mind, or 1.3. Like a lot of people didn't jump to like 2.0 immediately or wanted to. So like we always want to make sure that people like really own what they have, right? And if they bought games for their cartridge, they should have like at least all the optionality in terms of how they use it. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
That's
Okay.
that.
I got so many questions. First off, that's awesome about putting this like somewhere that people can retrieve this. This is, I don't know if you know this. This is actually an actual issue with the NG Dev team. They no longer support any of their games. So if you have a sealed copy, let's say, I don't know, you got V1 of like Crowdbuster or one of those, you're on your own, like to actually update the game. And those games,
I thought they are still available for download.
You have to find them. Yeah, you have to find them, but they no longer like actually issue you the like where the files are. Now, thankfully, there's the community has kept them and stuff like that. But it's nice.
I think I looked at it like a year ago or something, and I didn't really have trouble finding it. But I might also be like not remember it the right way. But yeah, it certainly can, right? Like it certainly can happen. You also don't know what happens like with these companies or people at some point, right? Like people get older, there's always the bus that might approach you.
100%, exactly. And that's the thing. So I think all this to say is like, yeah, I think it's I think you're doing the right thing is all I'm saying. Like I think that's a good thing to do. And I also think just this whole idea of like people being able to take a cartridge, reflash the cartridge with another game, that's super cool right in and of itself, because I'm sure you're going to get a bunch of people who are like, well, thanks, you just saved me $500 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
I mean, that's actually also one of the things, right? I'm not necessarily saying that like that we make everything and all the games that we have always available, right? So we're not planning right now for allowing you to buy like one of our like own or like bigger titles like Overserved or Project Neon right now. So at the beginning, we do like, well, that's also not entirely true. So we do like a multitude of things basically. But I think what I'm trying to say is, like there will be a good bunch of other games that you will be able to get for the FSNG one going forward, especially if people start building upon like or with our SDK and deciding.
That's what I want to jump into.
It goes hand in hand a little bit, right? Because like again, like we need to support this and work with like basically like there's a lot that is like that you need to worry about putting games out, right? So it again can't just be strangers, right? It's not just like a digital download. Maybe itch.io doesn't need to worry too much about it, but I assume they also do like a little bit of know your customer, right? But I think what I'm trying to say, if people like use our framework, then they also need to distribute via the methods that we have basically. Like we're going to make sure that like it's obviously we like one of these of the goals that I really have, which I mentioned, right, is to make like this development of these games more sustainable, right? Yep. So again, that you don't need to invest so heavily like to get your first game out in the first place, right? Not just developing the game, but actually getting it out. But then also being able to get more bang out of like developing a game, because you basically can make it available to more platforms, which is again a win-win for everyone, right? Like for the developer, they just get their stuff on more platforms, and people they get choice again where they buy these games. So basically when you use the SDK, because then also like the Neo Geo version will also piggyback on the FSNG1 and so on. So basically, if you decide to build with the SDK, then you basically also like need to release the game with our cartridges, and also like in terms of like getting it also released on like all the other channels. Like there's just so many dependencies where like it wouldn't make sense other way, like any other way. Let's put it like this. Also, if you build something that works on like some of these very well guarded platforms, like we need to make sure that we limit the risk of exposure, basically of things that are like, for instance, under NDA, right? So
and I can think of
there's like a couple of reasons. But if you have like an existing N64 game or Saturn game, there are not many, especially not for cartridge right now, but maybe there are going to be more. Or Neo Geo game. So what we actually do with Night's Chance is likely that we're going to put out the existing version that already exists, which even is available for download or for ROM purchase. I think on itch.io is where
I just streamed it. I literally just streamed it like last week or something.
So the first thing that we're going to do is basically, so that one we will just like put out on the FSNG1. It's not going to have the update menu. It's not like really, going to be bound to that cartridge that much. You still get the advantage that you can, when you bought that, you can also buy like an artwork set. But yeah, I think I lost my train of thought here. But I think what I'm trying to say is, if you have like a game already for the N64, for any of these like retro consoles, then you don't necessarily need to build with our SDK, right? So, but again, then people will need to plug in the USB-C cable to change it back to like a dashboard version, or like to Project Neon or whatever the original game was, because the game wouldn't have the menu, for instance, to talk to the Wi-Fi chip and everything, and allow people to change the game. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense, and I got a lot of questions to piggyback off
here. Much longer.
So okay, the SDK, are you good to go? I have a game I've made, and I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I contact you, and like, is this like essentially launched right now? Like, can developers start contacting you and get going?
For the distribution part of these, like, first of all, the N64 and Saturn cartridge is not out yet, right? So that's going to those are going to release in November.
Okay.
And for the Neo Geo one, we are testing that right now. So I'm basically the thing that you posted in a like a little bit of a disguised way, right? Like which you got also in a clearer way, which basically shows the dashboard. I think we can mention as much. So basically building the dashboard and the flow of being able to download existing games that have been unlocked for that cartridge or purchased. Like that will likely be also around November when you will be able to get Night's Chance for these cartridges as well.
That was going to be my next. That was literally going to be my next question, is if you're allowed to talk about Night's Chance, like when can fans expect that to be out?
I wouldn't know why it wouldn't be November for, like, again, the existing version.
Like the flash
to be available for the like, so that you can buy it for the FSNG1 basically, and then also because you bought it, you will also be able to build to buy like an artwork set for that. Like, again, don't quote me or take me hostage for that, right? But like I would say around November. there's also like a lot of other work streams that we still have, right? So I always need to prioritize them. Right now, I can slot in like an hour here and there to work on this stuff as well. And a lot of it is actually often like overlapping, because for Project Neon also the process of putting out an update right now for me from like the provider side of things is a little bit more involved and a little bit more manual. And so I need to build already the system that allows me to update a new build, to basically have a little bit of like internal certification tick, and then like also the means of actually rolling it out, right? Or like rolling it back. I'm not sure if we're ever going to do that. We will likely move forward and have like a version that fixes it, unless like it breaks something really. So like I think what I'm trying to say is that I need to build these things, or many of these things anyway, already for our own games, right? Because also overserved, like if I would need to issue do the whole process of issuing an update like I do it today, like it would just cost me so much time over and over again. And with overserved, I assume, especially because it's like an online game, the frequency of updates is going to be higher. Especially because we need to move, like everything needs to move basically at the same speed. So that means if we find something, hey, there's something where people can misuse the game or cheat, and we need to fix something up, because we need to, right? Like if the game is out on Switch or PlayStation or Xbox, we will likely be like asked to fix certain situations or bugs. And that also means, because like overserved is like 14 plus platforms cross multiplayer, that means the Neo Geo version also needs to bump pretty much the same day. So there's going to be some cutover time where we like still, like we're not just like shutting all the servers down and issuing the update and then have like new servers that support that. So it's going to be a little bit on a rolling basis. But I think there will be something where like at least within a day or maybe even a week, like we basically need to move all versions forward. And Dreamcast is going to be an interesting one to do that without issuing like a new CD. There are ways, and I mentioned it on like another pod, where like you could have some VMU payload, and yeah, so there are some ways to do that. We need to see what we're going to do there. But what I'm trying to say is we need like everything in place to issue new updates like frequently to all these platforms, right? Also, if there's like I don't know, a bug in the first version that releases on Xbox or something, we need, like, it doesn't really matter, basically. We need to be prepared to be able to issue updates on all these, including Neo Geo. So that's why the infrastructure for that is going to be pretty much in place for that, just because of that. And right now already, when you update Project Neon, for instance, whenever there's a new version, and there's going to be a new version this month as well, like you already download, when you choose that update, it's already refreshing the complete game right now. It's not just like a partial update or something. That would be actually would have quite some overhead, basically doing like a partial. It doesn't really make sense on like
I get
ROM
you.
or like memory mapped cartridges. Not saying it's impossible. So yeah, I think that's my answer to that. So like, even if for some reason we don't make these other games available just yet, or Night Chance as one of the first ones, like all the work that we need to do with all the other projects, especially Overserved, right, which includes getting it also out on N64 and Dreamcast and Saturn. Like we need to do and solve these things anyway. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Okay. Another question. I'm not saying with Knight's Chance that, you know, that he did this or whatever, but like, let's say NeoBits comes to you guys, and because of the cart that you have available, he's like, hey, I'd love to add online multiplayer, because it's a you know, it's a gambling game type thing, right? Like, instead of you just playing against the computer, I want you to be able to play against like another living player. That's an option he could do, right? Because of the technology that you have. So you hear that, developers? There you go. Because I get asked that a lot.
That's actually the third thing that I want to talk about. So the first one that we talked about was just like building games, right? The other one, special delivery. So the other one is distributing, right?
Right?
Like selling, like buying games and like the
Mm-mm.
distribution of games on physical and digital. And then there is also the third one, which is basically leveling up, right? Because if you basically have your game on our cartridges, you also can piggyback on the advanced features that these cartridges have, right? And they're like a multitude. I'm not sure if people are even aware. So obviously there's over-the-air updates, right? So over-the-air via Wi-Fi, but also via USB-C. Like we have on cartridge saves, right, for settings and high scores. So persistence in the cartridge as well. We have obviously the ability for also acceleration. So that means that people can basically like not just make sure that their game is tied to the hardware, but also yeah, offload some things to the cartridge as well. Think about it like I call it the Neo FX, right? Like the Super FX, but the Neo Geo version. Even though I need to find a more generic name now because you're going to have the same advantage on all the cartridges, right?
Mm.
So on N64, on Saturn, and Neo Geo, everything that I just mentioned is going to be true, right? So you're going to have over-the-air updates, USB-C updates, settings saved on the cartridge, like whatever you want to save actually in terms of state on the cartridge, and more, right? There's also the multi-tap adapter, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you will also be able to piggyback on that. We will make that available to anyone anyways, the multi-tap adapter. So first of all, it's going to work with two protocols which are publicly documented, right? So the Kizuna Encounter FTC1B mode and the NeoTris/NeoTap mode, which rides on Mahjong protocol. And there's also going to be like this the third protocol for like which has a lot of advantages using that instead when you want to piggyback on or if you want to allow people to use our multi-tap with their games as well. So I think what I'm trying to say is, yes, that's like another way of up leveling, but you can even do that independently. And I've already talked to a couple of folks, and I will leave it to everyone's guesses if they are keen to add like 3-player and 4-player or like wherever it makes sense. Basically, more than 2-player support to their existing games. So yeah, there's likely other stuff that I just forgot about. But yeah, if you're on these cartridges and you want to do online multiplayer, I think that's the one that you just brought up, not just like over the updates. You will be able to do that as well. So that's more involved. That's online multiplayer, especially if it's not just like I don't know, card game with 2 players or something, or chess, then it's relatively easy. If it's something which is fast paced like Overserved, it's quite involved. And but we will be able to help with that as well. But if you want to use the advanced features of the cartridge, you will again need to use our SDK
Yeah.
because they include the libraries to do all that all that stuff, right? So yeah. And then we talked about like, hey, how you can get like an artwork set for these games that you can download or unlock for like your existing cartridges. That also includes like pretty much everything else that we do, right? So if there's like a cool new game that releases via that means, we also have like all the other stuff, right? So we obviously we have the cases and we have the double-sided printed inlays. We have the label options. Sometimes we will do, or maybe all the times we will do like this Sprite sticker sheets,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Which we did with Project Neon. If it's a cool soundtrack, needs to be FM based. If it's if it's not FM based, if it's not tracker based, you won't get to be able to do that. But otherwise, we will likely also allow people to do vinyl runs of their soundtrack if it's like a cool soundtrack. Um, Yeah, and then like all the other things. And again, I'm not sure if people actually have seen it, but like we have the marquees,
Yeah.
right? Japanese one, for instance, and like again, my whole idea here is that and Manuel, and we have like people that we work with, right, that can actually help with layouting all these stuff, right, or create artwork and so on. I obviously can't just like make that all available and all these resources and people available for free, but like a lot of like at least the onboarding and just like supporting people building their games, that obviously will be free, right? But if you then, yeah, again, need to have your marquees layouted and you don't have like a like an like somebody that can do that for you, we will be able to piggyback on people that we already work with today, to actually do that. Yeah.
No, I mean that's awesome. I mean, I'm not gonna name names because like you, I want to keep my relationships with these people. But I mean, there's more than a few developers that I know that they loved making the game and that's it. They hate everything else. Like they don't want to do any physical stuff because they know it's a nightmare. And what's so interesting with this is not only do you like can you get that element done where like if I don't want any like I don't want to worry about like plastics and PCBs and I don't want to worry about any of that. I just
All
want to
the print
see
stuff,
yeah, exactly. Like I don't want to worry about
posters.
any of that. If you've got that, that's like a it's almost like a double victory because not only can you offer all of those particular services, but on top of that, this SDK allows me to release and get revenue from 14 different
Yeah.
platforms. Like that's pretty exciting because that's the number one thing like you said, like people don't you don't do this to become a millionaire, you know, like especially on the Neo Geo, like it's a hyper niche, you know, platform, but now
Might be a nice
like
side effect at some point for some people.
it might be,
But
it
yeah,
might be. So you're going to get
you're
this
not going to get five. That's your goal. Let's put it like this.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So you're definitely gonna get. You're gonna for sure. There's gonna be the community is gonna ask this. So I'm just gonna ask it right now. Obviously,
Sure.
you do not have an AES Plus right now, and if you do, where did you get it? Um, so
No, I don't.
obviously, we have to wait until like the AES Plus is actually out. But I'm assuming, hopefully, you'll be able to do any necessary modifications on like maybe cart two
The
or
cartridges.
three or
We will
five.
adopt, right? If we need to adopt, we like if for some unforeseen reason like the cartridges are not working, we will need to adapt for that. We are not just going to ignore it and say like, oh well, you're like, why, right? Like why wouldn't we figure out what's going on, figure out what would need to be changed? I don't really think it's going to become like that because if you look at the people that are involved,
I agree.
and then also like the people actually like not just technically but also like playing is connected with like Embracer
Mm.
has this Embracer archive
Yep.
where they
Yep.
have all the homebrew Neo Geo games as well. They
Mm.
have tons of like IO, like peripheral and like everything, right?
Mm.
So I'm certain that they're going to throw everything that they have
Mm.
at that thing to see. And again, like even there's still something that can go wrong, right? Like
Sure.
even with best intentions,
Yep.
like it's still possible that there's like something that slipped your test matrix, right? Like
Mm.
that's always possible. But then we need to see how we can adopt, right?
Mm. Mm.
Like Playan already mentioned that they basically have to. I'm not sure exactly what it means, but they have the budget to do the ASICs twice,
Yeah.
right? If something needs to change, but that's likely before it rolls out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but I think what I'm saying is like it doesn't matter if the AES Plus would need to change, or if our bots would need to change. Like we would figure it out, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah. No,
it's
good.
certainly not going to be impossible. Like if the intent is that everything is just working with all the original games and all the original hardware and like basically everything that's out there, then whatever, if there would be anything, like it wouldn't be like a hard stopper blocker. Like I wouldn't know what that would be, right? Maybe there's a small hardware modification that would need to be done on the cartridges or the system. Like again, like I don't know, but I don't even think it's going to. It would be weird, really. Like, I mean, they already know like about all the indie developers. They know that people are quite invested into those as well. Doesn't matter if it's like us or NG Dev or like Terra Onion or Naula.
No,
Like
I agree. I fully,
right?
fully
Like,
agree.
like so they said this is going to be one-to-one compatible,
Yep.
and they will pretty much try that. And if it's not, then like we'll figure it out. We just need to stay calm, figure it out. And if like even if the party, let's say the party that caused the issue, right, or that is the issue, doesn't solve it, then we as a community are going to solve
Yeah.
it, right?
Yep.
Like
Yeah, I think it's
that's
because
just
like
how
I've
it
been
goes.
hearing more and more. I think the general issue is now we're like 3 months ish to the AES Plus's launch, and PlayOn's still been very quiet publicly. And I think that's what's starting to happen now. I think is you're getting a lot, not casuals, but like a lot of people who never owned a Neo Geo before. They put a pre-order, they spend $1,000 on the ultimate edition with all these games
Yeah.
and stuff. And the most they've ever spent for a game is like $70, right? So to them, I think what's starting to happen is they're starting to get a little nervous of like, why aren't we hearing anything?
Sure.
And I think
I
I
don't
think
know.
that's it.
No, I think it's like with every project, right? Like the closer you get to the deadline, you just heads down
Yeah.
and making it work. And um, I think there are like, and yeah, I wouldn't say that there are no life signs. I see some publicly, right? Like you just like in like that's all that I'm going to say, right? Like if I'm not going to point somewhere and say like, oh, just look there. So it's not that I know anything like like
Mm-mm-mm.
internally or like something that's not publicly available on the internet. But yeah, like I'm not concerned. Like yes, some people might be concerned. I get it, right? Like we also have like a million ways already of playing these games, and so do most of others, right? Like they can emulate it and everything. Obviously, they don't want to do that. They now want to use the system, right? But yeah, again, I'm like I don't know. Like
Well, that's good.
I'm not playing. I play on. I don't know, right? Like I just
But
like all the like the quietness doesn't surprise me because like I'm also not if I have a like a deadline that I need to meet, or if I need to like fix a certain issue or something, like I'm also more heads down than like on X, and you know what I mean. I think there's some life sign that you should always give, which I'm also always doing. So I'm not saying they couldn't do more. I wouldn't say like, oh, like they could show that system actually in action, right? Which we haven't seen yet, right? We
yeah, I
like
think
I don't know. Maybe there's a video. Right now we've just seen it in like
yeah,
a plexiglass box, right?
yeah,
In the SNK store. But maybe it's just not there yet. But they also still have some time. It's
yeah,
August right now, and
yeah.
so
What I'm telling
let's give them the time and benefit of the doubt, whatever, right?
Yeah,
Like
I think what I think is a fair estimate. What I've been telling people is like, if you don't hear they're releasing certain information, like Florida, right? They announce like Florida, you can go out, guys, and you can now pre-order. We fixed the taxation issues.
yeah.
You can, there's little things like that. It's been great. I've been telling the community, wait till TGS. If after TGS, because that would be like second, third week of September. If after that it's radio silent, then you might start to be like, is it coming? I think
Then yeah.
I just
Like yeah, I
I'm
don't
like
know.
you.
Like it's all speculation, right?
That's it.
Like
That's exactly
let's
it.
get there. Let's get to TGS, right? And there's so much else going on right now that can keep us busy. So I think we should just like like yeah, basically focus on that and making sure they are like new games available and maybe new ways of building these games and getting them into people's hands. Because one thing we didn't like really explicitly talk about is but like if people can get certain releases, and again, it might not be every release, but like certain releases, like as a basically as a digital purchase for their physical devices, like it's not going to be the same price as buying the game on a cartridge,
Yeah.
right? So we're getting maybe closer to what people are willing um, to afford if they don't want right now to spend like $350 or something on like a new game. Um, but likely it's going to be both, right? They want the physical version and it got to be cheap and
Oh
it got to be a new
yeah.
game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
But no,
I don't
but
know. But like at some point you just need to like shrug it off and say like, hey, look, there's so many, like as we always still get asked for like the ROM version of Project Neon. I'm like, there are like 14 plus versions now. And look, there's already like the CD version on Dreamcast, right?
yep.
Like if you really want it on Neo Geo, right, then buy it for Neo Geo, right? It's just like yeah.
Listen,
Anyway, and
you've
that's always
done.
going to be always going to be the case. But like you can, that doesn't mean that you can't just like do new things like we're going to do in this case, where people say like no, like it's really I just want it more affordable and running on real hardware and not having to mess around or buy like a multi cartridge. Again, they would need to have like one FSNG
Yeah.
one, right?
Yeah.
So Project Neon, Overserved, or whatever is going to be Night's Chance if there's like
Yep.
going to be the new run. But then, well, at least there are more options, right? Than there were before,
Yeah,
and
and I
then we
gotta
can
thank
just
you.
go from
I
there.
have to thank you. I really do want to thank you before we continue here, because hearing you talk about the AES Plus, the fact that like you're not, you're not worried per se, and look, your whole future is all about this development, this SDK, all of this stuff. So I just want to say thanks, because you're giving the community a little bit of a woosah, right? Like it's like if you're not like losing sleep over this, and that there will be solutions if like worst case scenario, I think you're going to make a lot of people feel a lot calmer. And also on behalf of the community, thank you for what you're doing, because like you said, if I'm going to reflash, like let's say I'm going to buy Knight's Chance for Overserved when it comes out, I don't know why I would do that, but I'll just buy another card.
As an example, you have the
But
optionality.
but that's the thing. It's, and like you said, you're not going to charge me the same price for that
Obviously not.
like,
I'm not shipping like a new
well,
piece of hardware to
exactly.
you. Yeah.
Exactly. So right there is like that's breaking one of the fundamental barriers that a lot of people have with just indie development in general on the Neo Geo. Whereas now this is suddenly a lot more enticing, because if you're saying like, okay, I only need one card. So if I save up my pennies there and I purchase that one card, I mean, we don't know what the cost is going to be, obviously, for the other games and stuff like that.
Similar like it is right now. So like it's the same card that we already have, at least the FSNG one, yeah.
So no, that's it. But I mean the digital,
What the digital
yeah,
purchase
exactly.
will look like, yeah.
Yeah. So once
I
that's
think
determined,
yeah,
like I think
will be reasonable, right?
yeah, exactly. And I think that's going to allow, I just by the comments, okay, I don't know if these people are real, but just going by the comments that I get a lot, it's
all bots.
I think yeah, maybe might be bots. But no, seriously, like I think you're gonna give a barrier, you're gonna remove a barrier that a lot of people have had. Because it's one thing, I always, when I say $500 $600 Canadian, but even if it's like 350 400 US, if that, I only have to do that once and I get to experience these games in physical hardware on the like the actual platform itself, that's very enticing. Because if I'm already willing to spend $90 on a brand new sort of cart sort of thing that's already made its money back 25 years ago or whatever, that's where
Yeah.
you're suddenly like, well, 150, 200, that's a lot more enticing, than 400 or whatever. Anyways, I know we don't know the pricing and all of that,
Obviously, it will
but
also depend on the release, right? Like if it's like again something that was already available for
yeah.
download and it's just going to be the same, like maybe also purchase download, right? Like
Mm,
Xenocrisis also comes, like not saying that
yeah, yeah,
Xenocrisis is
yeah.
coming to the FSNG one, just as an example. If it's just going to be the same version, then it might be cheaper than like, oh, it's now using our SDK and it gets new updates, right?
Yeah.
Because then it's like something, if it makes advantage, if it takes advantage of the cartridge of the FSNG one, it will likely make more sense to charge a little bit more for it, because again, you also want to take that money as a developer
Mhm.
to issue updates, right? The
Yeah, of
same interest
course.
that I
Yeah.
have
Yeah.
with Project Neon. I'm still putting updates out there.
Yeah.
Still putting like, and again, like also some people were like, now you're putting like this game, you make it available everywhere, right? Why would I still play it on like the Neo Geo? Or like you pissing off like some people or something. I'm like, well, at the end of the day, they just win because everything that we now added to the game, which wasn't port specific, is coming back to the Neo Geo version,
Exactly.
right? Like,
Yeah.
and because it's available on 14 platforms and it creates revenue across 14 platforms, that also means there's going to be more of an incentive and also money available to put updates out, right, for that
Mm,
game.
mm.
Yeah, so that might not be the case if it's like a game that like is not available on 14 systems.
Yeah.
And yeah,
Yep.
so right, so like I think like pricing will, like there's not going to be a fixed price every release is going to be. As there might also be like free downloads if some people
Mm.
decide that we have a good feeling with working with to make some of their free games, or like obviously it can't be like something that uses somebody else their IP, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah, of
all their
course.
arcade ports
Yes. Yeah.
and like all of that, just like obviously not,
Mm.
right? But there are like some really cool homebrew developers out there.
Yeah.
But not naming any names to not put any like pressure on them. Obviously, I try to talk to all of them, right, and
Mm.
say like, hey, like at least where I think like, oh, that's a good fit, maybe because it also has like, I don't know, 4 player support or something. Then maybe there are even like some things that are available for free, right? Or if there's like a new indie, maybe there's like somebody else going its own route again and going via Kickstarter and want to make a download available
Mm.
of like just to reach people, right? Like, why do you
Yeah.
do a
Yeah.
demo? To get feedback, but also to get the word around.
Yeah.
So, like, we could also look at that and say, like, hey, we can help you making that available
Mm.
to everyone who has like an FSNG one, right? Um, so
This is
yeah.
very exciting. This is
And
very
the same
exciting.
goes for beta testing, right? Like, because those updates are tied to individual cartridges, we could even offer it for like early access. Like if we now like, or if like somebody who's using, for instance, the SDK, and like basically is a partner of ours, they will also be able to piggyback on the fact that there are people out there with FSNG ones, which they can say like, oh, this guy, and this guy actually want to make early builds available too. And now they have a safe way and an automated way to make updates available to them. Maybe even to collect feedback directly, right? Like it's not
Mm.
impossible to like, I don't know, like do whatever there. But I think yeah, that's something else, right?
Yeah.
That you get. You not only get updates after you have your game released to everyone, but you will be able to have like early versions that you can make available as a public download, like or free download, paid download, internal beta, doesn't matter. You will be able to basically say like, I want to distribute this new build, and you will be able to do that. And right now, what you need to do is you basically, if you like, you send ROMs around, right? And
Yeah.
that's
I
never
know.
like a good feeling,
Yeah.
especially for a game that's still in development, for various reasons. Obviously, like one is you don't want that, right,
Yeah.
to be stolen, but like it might also leave the wrong impression, like it was never meant for something to be
Yeah.
seen publicly.
Yeah, precisely.
Like
Yeah.
Gabe from Valve said at some point, right? Like he was just like, or was it? Ah, no, I think it was The Last of Us or something, where like a beta build or like some or the same for GTA, right? Some capture footage basically got out there and people got like the wrong impression. Again, like we actually did that back then together with Antstream. So basically we allowed people to play the game. Like that was really early on. They were able to basically test not the prototype, but already like a new version of the game, the first level, still in its early phases. And we did it via a streaming service, via Endstream back then.
Okay.
And I really loved being able to do that. And yeah, so why wouldn't we be able to do the same there, right?
I'll tell you, like, you're gonna have to sell me a blank cart because you're giving me some serious ideas now. Because I get asked a lot where, like, folks are like, I don't want to send you a beta, not beta, sorry, a demo, but I would love to be able to send you like a beta and only show like the first 2 levels. Like, you know, I'm trusting you as Jared, like to you know, but I want you to have like the exclusive, show your community this thing, but I don't want to build just
without
a demo. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
The overhead, but also the risk, right? Because the moment it lands on your desktop, like you don't know, like you might just click on the wrong link on something
Exactly.
that somebody sends you on Discord, and you get scammed, and like suddenly like this build is like leaked, right? It must not even like be the person that you shared it with. It's also just that this person might have been like breached, basically, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like
so what happens now?
Being
What ends up happening now is a lot of these devs end up, you know, making like a Steam version type of thing, and then they'll give me access to like, say, like a beta build on Steam, which is fine. Like that's all good, but it's not what they want to do, right? So I love that.
Ideally, no.
I love that idea. So I will bug you offline if that starts to happen, and I start to get like all these requests. Instead of flashing these games, I'll just be like, dude, I'll buy a blank.
Obviously, they would need to work with us,
of course,
right?
Yeah,
so there needs to be this relationship or like partnership. But yeah, you could basically say, hey, there's a solution.
I
that,
like
right?
that.
Again, it's all about like more options and but also really optionality, right? People don't need to use these things, but at least they're out there and people can point to it, right?
That's very cool. That's actually very cool. So the only other thing I would say is, for the love of God, work with, what are they called? Bitmap Bureau, please. They're killing me, those guys. They're killing me. Been waiting for Final Vendetta for what like feels like 4 years now. And they keep going radio silent on me. They're killing me. And you don't have to comment at all because I want to keep you as the neutral. They can be mad at me for name dropping them, but they're driving me crazy.
That can be mad at you.
Like, yeah, exactly.
I'm like, again, like, I don't know anything, right? But like I think patience, right? Like,
no, I think
these projects are like super involved, right? Like, and yeah, I know, like sometimes maybe communication could be like a little bit better, but sometimes you don't know what's happening in people's life. I actually just learned about something. I will not even remotely go into who and where and whatever, but like you don't know what happens in people's life that might lead to some of the things or disappointments that we've seen in the past. I'm not saying that's always the case. Right. Might also be like sometimes like people miscalculated or didn't know or just ran away with like the cash or like whatever. But sometimes it's also just like life, like something happened, right?
With these with these guys,
and I mean like
no, sorry, I was just gonna say, like with these guys, I'm joking around here. Like
they're still there, right? Like they're still putting also out like all these
exactly.
There were also recent updates, right? Like in terms of
they just had their own. This is not me. This is them saying like publicly, like we had a lot of trouble with manufacturing. And so that's why my thing is, well, here's a solution. Like if they're having
not everybody wants to give away, like, because if you already have the means, right? And obviously like as the example, again, we're just talking about public stuff, like in terms of Bitmap Pro, they already have means to put their game out on so many
Mm,
different, they did, right, on so many different
mm, mm,
systems, and they have cartridges for
mm,
so many different systems. But yeah, like, sure, like, the option definitely, like, Matt or Bitmap Pro, they know what's available on our side,
mm.
but I still like everybody needs to make their own choices, right? And everybody needs to protect their business and their people. And so, uh, what might seem like a no-brainer, or just use that, might not be a no-brainer for
Mm.
everyone, right? It might not be in their control, might not fit for other reasons that we don't know. Um, Trust, right? Depending on who it is, right?
Mm.
Like, I don't know. So, but again, more options means more people, like more options means like people can make more choices
Yeah.
and make maybe other decisions and piggyback on some of that stuff, right? So like we're not going to force anything that we do on like anyone, right? I'm not going to be like on all the discords from all the indie developers and like basically saying, oh, you could just do that, right? By, I don't know, adding multi-tab support or something. I rather like reach out to them directly
Mm,
instead of like, you know what I mean? Like
mm,
pushing or forcing them. You can
mm.
never like, that
No.
usually also doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you can show new options and then people can decide to either take them
Or not.
or piggyback on them or not.
Yeah, but I love this. I love this, and your timing is perfect with this news because like I was just having a conversation the other day with a brand new indie developer who was saying the same thing of like I don't have options. So he's like I don't
Mm,
know
yeah.
what to do. He's like I don't know anything about printing and like manufacturing these things. So for him he's like well I guess I'm just going to do a ROM release. If I knew about this like a week ago, I would have been
Yeah.
like, wait a second, I'm not affiliated with Fullset or anything like that, but I would have like I have an option now. I can be like, hey, listen, give him a buzz and talk it out, like see if it makes
Sure.
sense, if it's a good fit. And so this is awesome, man. Like yeah, wow, this was I didn't I mean, you gave me a teaser, so I had an idea of where you were going. Because last time you were like, well, the PCBs, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I was like, okay, I have a feeling I know where you're
Yeah.
going. But this is cool, man. This is really, really, really cool. So I'm assuming this is your news. There's no more news.
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Okay, good.
Um, yeah, there's more, but I feel like we already like covered so many bases, so maybe we leave the one more thing for next time.
Okay, sounds good. This was like Sascha. Thank you so much, man. I am definitely gonna tell some folks to get in contact with you because I've been getting a lot. I think the AES Plus is like really, it's shown that Neo Geo could be another like just another viable option. Some folks are like I've been debating between Mega Drive and the Super Nintendo, for example, for like this game I was thinking of. And now all of a
Yeah.
sudden, Neo Geo becomes a very real option, but with what you just revealed, it's so much more than that because it's like, well, not only can you do that, but you could get revenue from all these other things. So, man, thank you so much for
Yeah.
this, Sascha.
And more people get to play your game, right?
That's
It's
it. Yeah,
always like a win on both sides. Yeah.
that's it. So, any
Yep.
any closing comments before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's pretty much it. Also, again, as I said already during the conversation, like that's the plan. Plans might change, but usually like I stick to them and am like quite persistent. And again, we will do that step by step. We will work with Neobits first, doing that, and some others that we basically already talked to, and then we'll just like open it up more and more. And if we see like, oh my goodness, this is for whatever reason too hard, like, or we just do like 50% of what we just talked about, right? That might also be the case, but I think, yeah, this like just has to happen in some form because while they are like, as soon as you basically part of the Neo Geo developer community, like like some of the people are like sharing quite openly, right?
Yep.
And they just say like as long as they see, oh, you're for real and not just like for a quick cash grab, which
Yeah.
again does not exist, then that already exists. But I think it's not existing in a, oh, by the way, here's like an email address or like a
Mm.
site where you can just go to and you can just learn about that stuff and you can sign up for it or you can pitch your project, right? That doesn't exist. You still right now need to figure out, even if you know like all these people that do games already, you still need to figure out like how to reach them. And some
Yeah.
people also just they are just not the people that are just like approaching people and say like, right, they're too
Mm.
introverted or like whatever it is, right?
Yep.
So I think if it's now becoming easier to do new games for like 14 new platforms, then hopefully that will also result into just like more games for everyone. And again, on the developer side, and more sustainability and not like burning out or like burning through your savings, basically.
Perfect. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna wrap it here. Sascha, thank you so much, man. This was really, really interesting. Super exciting time. I think, you know, from a developer standpoint, everything you said, I think it is awesome. Like being able to actually help the community like this is gonna really change the landscape in a really big way. And I think just as a fan, choice is always the way to go. You're basically doing the exact opposite of a certain company right now, which I won't go into details of, but you're giving the consumer a choice, which is super cool. And I legitimately think for a lot of you folks that are listening and that have been saying, you know, indie games are just way too expensive, this is a real opportunity for things to change. And I think that's really, really
Hopefully.
exciting. And yeah, so thank you so much, man. And for everyone watching,
Thanks for having me.
you're welcome. And we'll catch you all in the
All right.
next video.